Let's talk about this concept of preparedness, or this idea of being self sufficient, self reliant. A lot of people are in a very centralized world. They live with electricity from a power grid, mechanics to fix their cars, contractors to fix their house, accountants to run their books, etc., etc., etc. And this has been a phenomenal thing. It's called the division of labor and allows people to be experts. It allows people to become hyper efficient at task and to be able to do that task many times over better than someone who tried to do everything on their own could be. It's also allowed for people to become very comfortable, very relaxed in the way that they live. And whenever you have any type of centralization, it's powerful in its effect, but weak in its resilience. Now, the opposite, decentralization, is not as powerful in its effect, but very strong in its resilience. And the reasoning is because if you have a system that is singular and you have a force that's great enough to take out that single system, there is no replacement and there is no ability to continue on acting in the way that you were. So if you have a life where you're doing great, everything's trucking along, but you have a weak link and there's some type of major setback or whatever, it can totally derail your entire life. So with this can internally cause a lot of anxiety subconsciously people aren't aware of. Every time that a rumor pops up or they read a news article or they see some thing that's going around in the media about a disaster, a calamity, or a bad event that's going to happen, it gets a lot of attention because people are very prone to noticing problems more than a mundane thing. Our brains are wired so that you are hypersensitive to danger. It's something that's been noted before in evolutionary psychology that if there's a noise in the woods or something like that, it's better to overreact like 99 times out of 100 just in case, as opposed to maybe just 50% of the time. And this, probabilities of it being an animal or something like that that actually can hurt you is such a significant loss. The loss of just a few minutes of overreacting, maybe running away really quickly or preparing to attack, something like that, is a very minor, loss in investment compared to losing your whole life, right? So here's something interesting, and this has worked for me very well. I have taken the responsibility of being as prepared as I possibly can for nearly all outcomes in life. And because of this, it has given me massive amounts of peace. Now, it came at a large cost of preparing, right? But something interesting happens is when you're prepared, you become not scared, in the sense that not much starts to rattle you anymore. You can read doomsday news, you can hear about something bad potentially happening, but because you have plans in place for all of those things, your mind becomes far more calmer and you have much more clarity in these high excitement emotions don't run through you nearly as much. And this calmness allows you to hear your thoughts more and to actually pay attention to your surroundings more, looking for opportunities or offhand dangers that, not as necessarily necessary. But the point is, every little bit of peace of mind that you can buy or, you know, work towards having is a massive payoff. Because every time that you're in this scarcity mindset of hypervigilance and being scared of potential is a moment you're wasting that you could be spending on looking for opportunity or growing yourself as an individual. This idea, it stacks on itself. When you start getting in this place where you have less anxiety and all this stuff, right? Whether it be about religious things like the afterlife or physical needs such as being prepared for a disaster like a tornado or a big storm, something like that, having backup food, having ways to defend yourself in case there's some type of attack on your person. All these things, lowering your anxiety state, they compound so that it ends up taking huge chunks of your time throughout the day, especially the weaker, which is really the right word for this, the weaker you are. You can't make any progress. You're in this state of um, flight or paralysis. Barely are you tapping into the fight parts of your emotions. And so, what happens is because of the way your brain works, you have this thing where you get into flow states where you lock into high efficiency levels. And in these flow states, which are usually about 20 minutes long, scientists say, you become so hyper productive that you are able to accomplish more in that flow state of 20 minutes than a lot of people can in many hours throughout your day. But here's the issue. If you have high levels of anxiety or just general anxiety, things like that, it's very hard to get into these flow states because you can't let go and you can't get wrapped up in the moment of the task that you're in. And what I have noticed for myself as I have worked very hard on being self-reliant and prepared in many things. See, I've got this garden here behind me. It doesn't just provide me food in the sense of if something bad happened where food wasn't available, I can have food. The other part that it helps me with is this is probably the most nutritious food you can possibly get. They say that when you pluck a piece of produce from a commercial farm or something like that, over 50% of the nutrients are lost within 24, 48 hours, which is pretty much all food at a grocery store is highly depleted from nutrition. So another thing is this helps me with the anxiety about my health. And it allows me to be able to know I am getting the very best possible sources of food that will allow me to stay the healthiest for the longest period of time and keep my mental clarity, right? Whenever you have a mental anxiety about something throughout the day, it could be subtle, but you have to pay attention to whatever it is. Make a note of it and then think the thought to yourself, am I unprepared in this area? Am I not managing this thing well? Is that why I'm having this feeling? And if you tackle these things one at a time, before you know it, you'll start to just have more calmness, which allows for deeper thoughts and better thoughts. This is, I think, a responsibility and why preparedness is such a fantastic thing. I have let me list off all the things that might give you some examples of preparedness type things. The food, as you see here, I prepare my body every day to keep it as fit as possible and as flexible as possible so that within reason, I'm not like a pro athlete anymore or anything like that. Um, I have energy sources where no matter if we have storm, and the power gets knocked out, I have generators, solar, propane, etc. Not worried. I have a house that's rated well above um, what all the wind and snow loads specifications are for my area. I mean, my house isn't going to fall down from unless an F5 tornado lands on top of it, which it's not. I maintain my vehicles so that they're always in nearly the best condition. I can't, every single time I have an issue, I try as fast as I can to prepare it, and I have a backup vehicle. Finances, keeping, savings on hand in case, for whatever reason, I had a financial setback or couldn't find work of some type. All of these things compound and allow me to spend more time in deep thought and flow states where I can actually work on making progress in life. Once you master your own house, you can master the world around it. It gives you a lot of power. This is something I would suggest you consider in your own day to day and life practices. And it takes time. It's not something you're going to do, you know, overnight, in a week, a month, maybe even 6 months. Because you'll notice all the things to be prepared for. And in doing this, it takes a lot of work, but it will get you to a better place. This is why I like the preparedness stuff, and I take it a lot more practically than a lot of people like to make it out with a lot of the doomsday stuff. I think it's very useful. So, with that, thank you for your time. That's my little video for today. Have a good one.